Honorable Chair Shefali Agarwal, fellow speakers on the dais, and most distinguished participants of 6th World Water Summit. I am extremely delighted in this noon to deliver this brief keynote on community micro-irrigation for sustainability governance in the water sector. Sustainability governance in the water sector, especially in the irrigation sector, as Dr. Mansingh has rightly pointed out just now, is becoming more and more challenging for the water managers, especially in the context of unpredictable climate change scenario, depleting water resources on the planet, increased demand for water by the biomass, and several other anthropogenic matters, reasons. Now, in this presentation, I just want to highlight how the community micro-irrigation system can promote significantly the sustainability governance in the irrigation sector. I have structured my short presentation. Can you zoom that portion or that structure? Yeah, I have just structured my presentation in 4 small sessions. In the first introduction part, I just want to highlight the irrigation scenario, micro-irrigation scenario, and why we should go for the community micro-irrigation system. This will be followed by one case study project, that is Karadipara Community Micro-Irrigation Project, which has been successfully implemented by Government of Kerala recently. That will be taken as a case study to demonstrate how these community micro-irrigation projects can significantly contribute to the sustainability governance, and followed by the sustainability pathways that the CMI projects are offering, and finally the ways forward. Next. If you look at the irrigation scenario, when we look at the total water demand or total water consumption at a particular region, you will appreciate that maximum quantity of water is always used for the irrigation purpose. As you can see in the pie diagram, some 75 to 80% of the water is always being used for irrigation. The rest all the sectors, though it is important, the quantity of water that is being used for that purpose is not very significant. But when we think about the irrigation conventional practice, that is the this flood irrigation method, there are several implications as I have shown on the left block. There is severe seepage loss in that, severe evaporation loss in that, and severe operational loss. And that is why we are going for the micro irrigation path actually. In the micro irrigation path, actually we are delivering the water directly to the root zone. So all these parameters are being taken care of. And there are several other advantages when you compare with the micro irrigation practice, because when you combine this micro irrigation practice with the precision farming, definitely you can double the yield. At the same time, you can reduce the quantum of water required at least by 50%. As I have shown in that table, I don't know, just previously, yeah. As I have shown in the table, if you look at the case of tomato and all, the yield is almost doubling when you go for this micro irrigation system combined with precision farming. At the same time, the total water requirement is almost 50% of what is required under the conventional system. Yeah. Now, next slide please. Further advancement of this micro irrigation is actually the community micro irrigation project. When I refer to community micro irrigation, I am actually talking about community micro irrigation integrates micro irrigation technology with water conveyance and on-farm water productivity for a community of farmers that depend upon the same source of water. That is what by community micro irrigation I am referring to. Now, recently, as I said, Kerala Irrigation Infrastructure Development Corporation, which is a special purpose vehicle under the Water Resources Department of Government of Kerala, has successfully taken up a community micro irrigation project for very long duration crops. And this is the first one of that kind in India actually. So I just wanted to demonstrate this community micro irrigation project in a little bit more detail, just for you to appreciate how this has been evolved and how this has been conceptualized and implemented, and how this is going to help in the sustainability governance. Actually, this project was implemented in the rain shadow belt on the eastern side of Western Ghats. This Karadipara, it's actually a small community of farmers. 50 plus farmers have joined the coconut plantation of about 171 acres. The entire system is divided into some 6 clusters, as you can see in the map. A very small pond with very less capacity is actually using the water for this entire system. A 60 HP multi-stage submersible pump has been erected there. The water is, as in the case of a micro system, it is passed through primary and secondary filters. And then each farmer is given with the fertigation system also, because we are integrating this precision farming technique into this. Each farmer is given the fertigation system, and the most important thing is actually this is a fully automated system. Now a series of solenoid valves connect this network, and the control center, the blue one which you are seeing on the extreme left, that is actually receiving the data from the soil moisture sensors being implemented at site, and depending upon the actual water requirement at site, there is a decision support system, there is a program in this with which every farmer has got a control on that, and the amount of water that is precisely required for the coconut plant as well as for the intercrops is being programmed into it, and only the absolutely required quantum of water is being supplied in this. So the case study project, the importance that I wanted to highlight is that using this, effectively engaging the postmodern technologies like application of IoT in agriculture, then strong community mobilization, and in-group governance by the community of farmers have made this project a success. So now it is too early to assess its impact because it's almost 1 year old, but however, more and more farmers are now coming forward to join this system. We are going to have a second phase for this project very shortly. Next. Now, based on this case study, what the point that I wanted to highlight, what are the pathways to sustainability this is being offered. Number one, of course, efficiency. It's a very efficient system because, as you have seen, that very small pond which is getting its own, this is in a rain shadow belt, you get only about 700 mm rainfall, whereas on other parts of Kerala you get about 3000 mm rainfall. So this pond is having very less storage, which is sufficient for this entire community of farmers. That is the first point. So efficiency as an important indicator of sustainability, I would say that. Second thing is equity actually. When you go for community micro irrigation system, that equal access to the resource and power is well established within any community micro irrigation system. Third point is the climate resiliency. Because as Dr. Mansingh was telling, climate change is definitely an important factor when you think about the irrigation practice. But this system is moderately climate resilient because you will be able to manage the irrigation demand even with this small system. Fourth one, water conservation, of course, linked with the efficiency part because you are conserving more water, and the more water that you are consuming, actually what we plan to do is, when we conserve this water, we are using that water for the riverine ecosystem by maintaining the environmental flows. That is our concept. Then energy conservation. When you compare with the traditional lift irrigation system, which uses electricity significantly, compared to that, we are using only about 50% of the electricity for this system. And the last one, of course, as the most important indicator of sustainability is the community participation. Farmers have owned it. They were a part of this entire system in the design, implementation, and the post-maintenance part. Next. Now, just taking this as a case study, some of the ways forward thoughts that I wanted to share is, the first thing is actually we have built the capacity for managing this type of community micro irrigation projects in Kerala. Community micro irrigation is slightly different from the individual micro irrigation things. That is what we are. That is why I am specifically emphasizing about the capacity building part. And Kerala Irrigation Infrastructure Development Corporation is now working on developing a design suite for implementing these community micro irrigation projects. And we also look forward to bridge the gap. Actually, in Kerala, about 22 lakh hectares is the total sown area. But in that, formal irrigation is being given only to about some 4 to 5 lakh acres. So that gap, to some extent, we will be able to bridge by taking up this community micro irrigation projects. And Government of Kerala has already launched KM Mani Integrated Community Micro Irrigation Project. As a part of this, we are going to take up more and more community micro irrigation projects within Kerala. And also, Kerala State Planning Board is now working on a micro irrigation policy, which will be shaped up very soon, and that will be an important policy that the government will be putting forward. And now, what exactly I am looking forward when I talk to an esteemed audience like this, Kerala Irrigation Infrastructure Development Corporation is actually looking forward to take up more projects like this within Kerala, within the nation, and certainly beyond the boundary of the nation, outside also. And once again, just to conclude, the point that I wanted to highlight is actually community micro irrigation system. With this application of this postmodern technology like IoT and all, when you combine that with the community participation and in-group governance, that is going to be a very good model for the sustainability governance in the water sector. That's the point that I wanted to make. Thank you so much for your patient hearing.